Now, when I like to really use this hack is when I have a student who I know is lying to me. Just be sure to reinforce that that spot is there for them to smell, not to lick. Just saying. Your hair hurts? Go get a wet paper towel. Welcome back to my channel, guys. I have decided to do a mini series with all kinds of different classroom hacks. So this mini series is going to include a video on classroom management hacks, organizational hacks, and instructional hacks. So I know that a lot of my viewers are soon to be teachers. So they're either in their student teaching in college, they're in high school, and they know that they want to go into teaching, or maybe even going through a career change as an adult. Even if you are currently teaching and you watch my channel, I know personally I can never have enough tips and tricks to try out in my classroom because sometimes things just get stale and you need to change it up a little bit. So in this video, I'm gonna give you guys my best 10 classroom management hacks that I personally have tried in my classroom and have worked really well. Now, since these are classroom management hacks, I'm kind of avoiding the mainstream classroom management strategies that you guys see all the time, like Class Dojo, like a clip chart, things that you all know of. I'm not gonna include those in this video. I want this video to include as many new ideas for you as possible. I feel like when I was student teaching, or even in my first year of teaching, I would Google classroom management strategies or classroom management tips, but all the websites I came across had the most broad and just general tips that weren't helpful at all. I would always come across things like be consistent, or use proximity, stand close to the students who are misbehaving, or teach your rules and procedures and hold your students accountable. And yes, those are all true. Those are all things that you need to do in your classroom for classroom management. However, when you're first starting out, those things, those statements are so broad, and you really want just specific ways to handle certain situations or specific strategies that you can try out. I feel like I go on Pinterest and I search classroom management and I find all these really elaborate gimmicks, which are adorable, don't get me wrong, but they all require so much printing and laminating and prepping stuff. And honestly, when you are a new teacher starting out, you don't have that kind of time. I don't know about you, but I want things that are really easy to implement, but also work really well. So that's why I want to do this mini series. I want to give you guys strategies and tips and tricks that I personally use, so I know that they work, at least for me, but they require little to no money or prep. These are things that literally you could implement with your class next week if you wanted to, because you don't have to prep stuff ahead of time and you don't have to go out and buy stuff. Now, the term classroom management is super general, and honestly, a lot of it has to do with your preparedness as a teacher and the overall organization of your classroom. However, for the purpose of this video, I wanted to give you guys ideas and strategies that focus on your students and controlling undesirable behaviors. So I broke the classroom management hacks into 3 categories: behavior management, tattling and question management, and volume/noise management. So the first category is behavior management, and these are a few hacks that focus on controlling undesirable behaviors. Now, before I get into the actual hacks, I did want to just throw this out there because this is my personal belief. Behavior management should mostly be done to prevent undesirable behaviors rather than reacting to them. Hack number 1, mystery student. So what I love about this hack is that it can be used in a variety of ways. So the whole premise of a mystery student is that you randomly pick out one student from the class and you do not tell the class who that student is. Personally, I use equity sticks. I just pull out a stick with my student's name on it, and then that will be my mystery student. Then you keep an eye on that mystery student. So you can do it for the length of a lesson, or you can do it for the length of the entire day. If that student is focused and they are on task doing what they're supposed to be doing, that student would get some kind of a reward. So maybe moving their clip up on the clip chart or getting a piece of candy. Now, if the mystery student for some reason does not earn the reward, you do not tell the class who it is. It remains a secret. So if they don't earn it, I usually just say, we need to try harder next time. Hopefully the student can earn it the next time they get selected. You also could do a mystery group or a mystery table. Personally, my students sit at groups at tables. So you would select one table, and if all of those students remain on task and focused, the entire group would get the reward. What I love about that option is that it does encourage teamwork among your students. You also can pick a mystery walker. So you can pick a mystery student before you leave the classroom, keep an eye on that student in the hallways, and if they do a good job, they would then earn the reward. Hack number 2, camera in the room. Now, some of you may disagree with this hack and you may not want to implement it in your own classroom. It does involve lying to your students, but if you really think about it, there are a lot of things that we do lie to our students about. However, there are different opinions on it, so if you don't agree with this one, I completely understand. You can just disregard it. So basically for this hack, I tell my students at the beginning of the year that there is a camera in the room. I do not tell them where it is, and I love seeing them looking around trying to figure out where it is, but I tell them that it is always recording, and if for some reason they are misbehaving and we have to pull pull the tape, we have to go up to the front office and we have to get their parents to come in to review the tape with us. Now, when I like to really use this hack is when I have a student who I know is lying to me, but I don't have any actual proof that they're lying and I need them to admit that they are lying to me. Now, I fully believe in teaching your students to tell the truth because it is the right thing to do. However, you will still always have one or two students who do continue to lie no matter what. So if I do have a student who I know is lying to me and I need them to admit it and tell me the truth, I will take them out in the hallway and I usually ask it to them like a question. I'll say, okay, if I check the camera, am I gonna see that what you're saying is true? I like asking it as a question because it makes them really stop and think about it. And almost always they will say no and they'll actually tell me the truth. Hack number 3, smelly spots. So I think this idea originally came from Sheila Jane teaching. Basically, you get a scented chapstick and whenever you see a student who is on task and doing a good job, you walk by and you just rub a little bit of it on their hand. That way they can continue to smell it while they are working. Now, obviously, you would want to make sure that none of your students have allergies and that it's not a problem with any of the parents. However, what I love about this is that you literally just need a chapstick and typically that can last you the entire year. Plus, throughout the seasons, you can get different scents to help keep it interesting. And I know this sounds super weird and you're probably thinking, why would kids care about that? You would be surprised how much just giving them a small spot on their hand that smells good really excites them. Plus, when you introduce new scents, they get super excited about it. So trust me, it does work. It's basically like a scented sticker, which I will be completely honest, I still love to smell them as an adult. So what I love is that it's right on their hand, so it's super easy for them just to smell while they are working. Just be sure to reinforce that that spot is there for them to smell, not to lick. Just saying. Hack number 4, secret symbol. This hack is perfect for those students that are very impulsive and do not think about their actions before they do them. Basically, you would meet with the student one-on-one and the two of you would decide on some kind of a secret symbol that you can use to get their attention when they are misbehaving rather than calling them out in front of the entire class. Now, it can be something super simple like pulling on your ear or scratching your eyebrow, but the students love it because it's something secret and special just between the two of you. It's a great way to build a relationship with that student while also curbing their impulsive behavior. The best part is you can use this with multiple students at the same time because you can have a different symbol for each of them, but they will still think that it's something special just between you and them. The next category is tattling / question management. So these are a few hacks that you can use to curb tattling in your class and also reduce the number of questions that your students are asking you because all of that can really take away from instructional time. Hack number 5, tattling response. I know that tattling has always been a really big deal in my second grade classroom, and it's really hard for second graders to understand the difference between tattling and telling an adult about something when they really need to know. So I personally have tried a tattle monster in my classroom. You basically take like a tissue box, you decorate it, and it's a spot for your students to write their tattles, and then they put it inside for you to read at a later time. Now, I will tell you guys the first day that I implemented it, this was my first year of teaching, I remember we were doing social studies and we were talking about famous explorers and I was pulling kids up to the front, dressing them up, and at one point I used like raw rice as snow and I was like sprinkling it over top of their heads. At the end of that day, I had at least 10 papers in my tattle monster telling me about this one student eating the raw rice. But anyway, I did like the tattle monster at first, it did work. However, it very quickly lost its novelty. It was really exciting to my students at first, they thought it was really cool, really cute, they really played into it, but it very quickly got old to them. So now when I have a student that walks up to me to tattle on someone else, my automatic response is always, are you telling me this to get them in trouble or to get them out of trouble? This usually stops them right in their tracks and they have to really stop and think about why they are telling me this. Almost always their response is that they're telling me it to get them in trouble, and to that I just say that I'm not interested in hearing it. By asking them this question, it has really cut down on the number of tattles that I get, but also it has helped my students understand the difference between tattling and telling an adult when someone is in trouble and needs help. Hack number 6, Ask Me tag. This hack is perfect for when you are working with small groups and you don't want your students coming up to you a million times to ask you simple questions. Basically, you just assign one student in the class the role of teacher while you are working with your small group. So you can make up just a simple lanyard that has a tag that says Ask Me on it or teacher in training, something like that. Honestly, what I do, because this is easiest for me, I just give that student my lanyard that has my badge and my keys on it. My kids know that it is a really important job and it's something that they have to earn. learn. I typically pick students that I know that I can trust and I know will be able to actually help the students who need help. Now, a lot of times that student who is helping will not get done whatever classwork it is that the students are working on. However, for me, I don't really care about that because when they are helping their peers, they are still learning. Now, if a student has a question that the teacher in training cannot answer, I usually tell them just to wait until I'm in between groups or I'm at a stopping point where I'm able to help them. Hack number 7, hand signals. One of the best decisions I ever made with classroom management my first year of teaching was creating hand signals for my students to ask me simple things that they need all the time. I teach these hand signals to my students at the beginning of the year and we use them all year long. So in order to use the bathroom, my students show me the bathroom signal, which is basically just a thumb in between the first and second fingers. This is American Sign Language for bathroom. Then to ask to get a tissue, they hold up 1 finger. To ask to sharpen a pencil, they hold up 2 fingers. And to ask to get a drink, they hold up 3 fingers. So the way that I tell my students this at the beginning of the year to help them remember, 1 means tissue because typically you just get 1 tissue. 2 means sharpen a pencil because you're supposed to always have 2 sharpened pencils. And 3 means get a drink because when you get a drink, you count 1, 2, 3 in your head. Now, if a student raises their hand and asks me for one of those things, or they walk up to me and ask me for one of those things, my response is always, how do you ask me? And usually as soon as I say that, they remember to use the signal, but I do not let them go until they are seated in their seat showing me the symbol. Hack number 8, nurse alternatives. I know personally I have a lot of frequent flyers in my class that ask to go to the nurse at least 10 times a day. I have a pretty good sense of when a student actually needs to go to the nurse and when they are asking to go just because they want to leave class, and I am not sending my students to the nurse unless they really need to go because they are going to miss a lot of class time. So these are my go-to things when a student is asking to go to the nurse all the time and I do not want to send them. First of all, get a wet paper towel is my response to almost every single ailment that they can possibly complain about. Oh, your head hurts? Go get a wet paper towel. Your finger hurts? Go get a wet paper towel. Your hair hurts? Go get a wet paper towel. I also will tell them to go get a drink or try to go use the bathroom, especially if they are telling me that their stomach hurts. Now, if they continue to complain after getting a wet paper towel, after getting a drink, then I give them an ice pack that I got from the dollar store. Now, this ice pack is not kept in a freezer or anything. It's literally kept in my desk drawer. It's not cold. However, most of my students are magically cured once I get my ice pack. So if the student is still complaining, but yet I know that they're actually feeling fine, then I will tell them that the nurse is at lunch and she hasn't gotten back yet, and I will literally tell them that the entire day long. Or I will tell them that I emailed the nurse about their ailments and she has not gotten back to me yet. Sometimes I will even offer to email their parents about their many ailments that are keeping them from doing their best at school, and oftentimes their response to that is that they suddenly feel a lot better. Now, obviously, don't get me wrong, if a student is clearly sick or I feel their forehead and I can tell that they have a fever, I will send them to the nurse. But these nurse hacks are basically just for those students who complain day after day, all day long, because they want to go to the nurse, because they need attention, or because they just simply want to leave class. The last category is volume/noise management. So these last 2 hacks are focused on controlling the noise level in your classroom. Hack number 9, noise letters. I started using this hack my first year of teaching, and it works really well when you need your students to really focus on an activity and you need to keep the noise level to a minimum. Basically, you have the word noise on the board, and each time your class gets too loud, you take away or erase a letter starting with the E. Once the E, S, and I have all been taken away and all that is left is the word no, that means that there is no more talking. If for some reason your class continues to talk and you have to take away the O or the N, then you give some kind of consequence like taking away recess time. Basically, it gives the students 3 chances to control their own volume before you implement no talking or give out consequences. Now, personally, I used foam letters that I had gotten from Walmart, and I just had magnets on the back and I stuck them up on my board and I would take them off as we went. However, you could definitely just write the word noise with the dry erase marker on the board and erase the letters as you go. I love that this hack is super easy to implement, but it also serves as a visual reminder to your students. Now, there are also a ton of noise apps and websites that you can use to control the volume of your students, and you could use that with the noise letter. So you could show the app on your phone just under a document camera, or you could pull up the website on the computer, and if their noise gets to a certain level on the tracker, then you could take away a letter. Hack number 10, sand timer. I love using this hack again when I'm working in small groups because it really helps my students to focus on their work and it really cuts down on their talking. All you need is one of those 1-minute sand sand timers that you can find at the dollar store. You would pick a well-behaved student to start, and they would stand with the sand timer in the front of the room and turn it upside down so the sand starts to flow. While the sand is falling, they are going to be looking around the room for another student who is focused and working quietly. Once their timer runs out of sand, they will pass the timer to that next student. They will take it up to the front of the room, same thing, they will flip it over and they will look for the next student. I love that my students get to be the one monitoring the class, but I also love that they're only away from their work for 1 minute at a time, so it does not distract from their work. Again, you would be super surprised how badly your students want to stand in the front of the class with a sand timer just because it makes them feel special. All right, that's all that I have. Those are my 10 easy to implement classroom management hacks. I hope you found at least one of them helpful and you can use it in your classroom. My next hack video will be on organizational hacks, and that will go live next Sunday at 7 a.m. If you enjoyed this video and you did find it helpful, please give it a thumbs up. That helps it to be able to reach more teachers, and it helps me to know how engaged you guys are with my videos and what kind of content you are enjoying. I also would love to read your comments. If you have tried any of these hacks, let me know what you think, or if you have something else that you wanted to add to the list, I would love to hear that as well. Also, don't forget to subscribe to me so you do not miss any of my future videos. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in my next video, and until then, happy teaching. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end and for supporting my YouTube channel. I appreciate it more than you guys realize. If you want to check out any of my older videos, you can use the 2 links right down here. And if you want to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any future videos, you can use the link right over here. In the description is the link to all of my social media sites, my Teachers Pay Teachers store, and my Amazon store. And I will catch you guys in my next video.